That reminds me. I'll see if I can find the picture. There was this picture that I saw on Twitter yesterday. It was just like the peak definition of just just don't do this. Like it's just annoyingly self-documented code. So for
I
anyone
saw
just
that. I saw that.
for anyone just listening, we have a function called R booleans equal. It takes in two bools, one called original, one called value. It then compares it compares if original equals value, if and then we'll return false or true, right? It's a boolean. And then that function is being called by another function called compare booleans, which is just returning the value of that function. Like, obviously, this is an extreme example of don't write code like this. Like, this is a one-liner. But, like, you will see code like this where people will overly extract out functions and...
Left pad?
I don't know.
Left pad, anybody?
What's their code?
That's the JS function. That's the node.js function. That was literally a single line of code. And the developer pulled it, and like half the internet broke, and it was one line. It was a library that was one line of code.
Right? Yeah. Left pad. That was a thing. I was like, wait, left pad, is this like a writing software? My brain was thinking Wattpad for some reason. No, left pad was a library to pad the left side of a string before JavaScript had a internal function to do so.
But it was a one-liner. It was a one-line function. You know, your thing that I found this in production today. The thing that offends me the most about that, it's not the library that the function that calls the function to do this. It's the if A equals B, return true, else return false. That's what kills me the most about that. Because obviously you could just return A equals B. It hurts to look at it.
Yeah, it's C#. Like, it's, for anyone who doesn't know, it is C# code. You can do that. That is a thing you can do in C#. Like, I get it in a language that doesn't have that structure. Sure, whatever. C# does. C# has that structure.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Apparently,
I've covered like vulnerabilities in code bases, and sometimes security researchers are real snarky. It's great. And apparently junk like that is actually really, really common in closed source code bases.
Oh yeah, I've no doubt. Like, I've seen some like the leaked code for games is a great example of places where people just do really stupid things. Like a few years back, the code for Simpsons The Hit and Run got leaked, and some of the functions and some of the comments, like one of the functions they have is, I think it's to cull all of the excess car models, and the comment there is like, I should remove this function because the one who created the car should be the one to remove it, but the function name is too cool anyway, so I'm just going to leave it there. I think the function was called Kill 'Em All.
That's
like,
great.
The most the most like common example of this is what is it? The fast square root code. The fast inverse square root from the Quake code base. If you've never seen this one.
It's legitimately impressive code, like that it works and it does what it's supposed to.
But like, there's just a random like evil floating point bit level hacking. What the fuck? First iteration, second iteration, this can be removed, and that's now part of the legacy of that function.
Yep. Well, I mean, so it kind of makes sense. And you think about it, you see some of this in open source code, but not as much. And it makes sense because it's like, in which place are you going to write nicer, cleaner, better to read code? The place where surely it's closed source and nobody outside of my company is ever going to look at this, or I'm going to publish this to the internet where everybody can look at it. I'm going to take a little more time to clean it up. I'm going to put it out to the internet.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know. I still see a lot of really annoying developer habits, like
it's true.
I know there is like traditionally the idea of make sure your lines are no more than 80 characters long. Now that's been updated to like 100 because the Linux kernel said 100 is okay. But because of that, there are people who write these really annoying function names where they turn everything into an acronym, but they never have an index of what the acronyms mean.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, you go to read a function name, it look like somebody just sneezed and hit their head on a keyboard.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Don't do that. Just write normal function names. It's okay. We're not the reason we had 80 character the reason we had 80 character limits is because of terminals. Not because there's no other reason for it. It's not readability. Shut up. No, it's just because physical terminals often had a 80 character limit. That is the only reason.
Yep.
It's like people don't
Your compiler will fix this. It doesn't actually use the function name.
Mm-hmm.
Your program does not go slower if you use a longer function name.
I guess maybe possibly you could argue a little bit in interpreted language. A tiny little bit in interpreted language. But not enough. If you're caring about optimizing that, you better have optimized everything else.
You shouldn't be writing in an interpreted language if you care that much about optimization. Let's be real.
But what I really find annoying is a lot of people will find. So people like to pattern match, right? Like, this is just a normal thing that people do. Like, you look at a cloud, you see a face, or you see a dog, or whatever. People will try to find reasons that things are done. My favorite example of this is the Vim keys. H, J, K, and L, where people are like, oh, it's to keep your hand on the home row. Oh, it's more like it's comfortable. No, the reason for it is because on the ADM3A, which was originally used to develop the software on with Vi, the arrow keys were on H, J, K, and L. That's why. That's the only reason. It didn't have an arrow key bay like a QWERTY keyboard has.
Right. So you could, you could make the argument then that it is to keep your fingers on the home row because they put the arrow keys there to put your fingers on the home row. And so, like in an upside down and backwards world sort of way, that's what it is.
Sure, but do you trust the logic that is used to design a keyboard from the 80s? Because I've seen some weird keyboards from the 80s.
That's true. I've seen some weird keyboards from these days. I don't think I trust any keyboard manufacturer or designer, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel like they can reinvent the keyboard. You probably can. You shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Yeah.